the rot. It's all I can see anymore. You would think that could be some place to escape it, or at least some place where it wasn't all around me, but there isn't. Not in this world, not in this universe. It makes you sound, rot. Rotting, it's dry and raspy. The sound of it when it starts to end. You think it fades? It does not. At the movement the vibration ends, it rots. It decomposes into nothingness. You want to argue? You want to use science to prove me wrong? Use science against me? Me? Sorry, it's the rot. It's inside of me, you see. Oh, and it's inside of you too. You just can't see it or hear it. Goddess, that does sound maddening. It's my own fault, of course. I asked him to do it. I wanted to understand. That's my curse. I always have to try and understand everything. But there are reasons that some things are not known to us. We are limited, you see, our minds. Our minds aren't large enough. We are too sane. Well, some of us are. Well, I'm working on it. It all started innocently enough. He came through to us on a picnic. By then, we were used to him tagging along. He had it bad for Fluttershy, and we all knew it, including her. If it wasn't for any of the rest of us, it might have been a problem. Not as much as though his looks, but his personality. That was when he really got going and even made Pinkie Pie look took a tame in comparison. Honestly, I didn't even know why she put up with it. But it was her business. Anyway, it was pretty standard picnic. We all sat out in the field, ate, chatted together. Rainbow and Applejack played games with Pinkie Pie. Rarity worked on some embroidery, while Spike just sat there watching her. I didn't know how long she intends to keep this up, but she told me once she finds all the attention flattering, but that's when she was going to let him down at the moment that it was right. It must be a tricky thing, because it's going on for 4 years now. I'm starting to wonder if Spike may actually be wearing her down. Maybe he does have a chance. He better hurry before the rock gets to her. So while that's going on, Discord was showing Fluttershy his latest bag of tricks. I have been trying to read, but they were just sitting there next to me under the shade of the tree, and Discord was in his loud mode, probably just because I was trying to read. So being left with no other options, I decided to watch. It was maddening. He just does whatever he wants, whatever occurs to him at any moment. No spells that took years to master, no strain calling upon unseen forces, bending them with this his will, no preparation, no effort, no cost of him at all. He just snaps his claws, and there it is, poof. Cosmic rules that grove in that every nature in the universe. He broke stoves just making breakfast. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm jealous or anything. I mean, it's because I am the element of magic, and I'm forced to sit down and watch him being impossibilities to bring no existence right before my eyes that I will never in 100 lifetimes be able to do it myself. Alright, perhaps I was a little jealous. I hate the way you just do that. I didn't mean to say it, it just slipped out under my breath, and of course he heard it. Why, whatever do you mean, my dear Twilight? Float effortlessly through the air, like you always tend to say. Or could this be mean this? He said, snapping his claw, causing the entire tree ring to circus to appear in midair, all while being run by chipmunks. Admittedly, the lion tamer was quite impressive. Yes, that, I said in irritation. He snapped it all the way. It just hurts my brain. Can you just use a snap to everything with no effort, no cost? Magic isn't like that, and yet you still do it anyway. It doesn't make sense. I expected a standard "it's chaos" isn't supposed to make any type of sense type of reply, but instead he surprised me. Oh, Twilight, you are so very wrong, and yet, for once, you are very right as well. Huh? I said through my derailed. I was right? What do you mean? Well, you were in the wrong, and supposedly I was using the magic power to do what I had to. I do not, but you were right in that is my cost. There is always the coast clear, Twilight. You cannot perceive it with your limited pony senses. I knew I was setting myself up for a burn, but I was too curious not to ask. Could you explain it to me? Why, of course, my dear. But not just now. It's too beautiful to waste on such trivia matters, and I'm sure my dear Fluttershy would be bothered to tears Why don't we just relax and enjoy ourselves today? I'll pop by for lunch tomorrow and let you know all about it. Sound good? What was there to catch? Didn't there have to be with him? But he did agree in front of Fluttershy, and she would certainly call him out if he lied to me. I forced a broad smile to my muzzle. Sure, that sounds great. Another cucumber sandwich? I offered, gesture of goodwill. How delightful. Thank you so much, he said, accepting the sandwich from my magic, and whatever he used his own, taking the dainty bites in the midair. The rest of the afternoon was uneventful. I supposed we had fun. I must admit I was distracted by the thoughts until of fully understanding how Discord works. Aside from Pinkie Pie, it was one of those things that hadn't bothered me the most. I barely slept at all last night, and that didn't even bother me with breakfast, which had turned out to be a huge mistake. I got out of fresh, sloppy quills, ink, and parchment paper from the basement. I planned to document each and every word, so I could pour it over the ladder for the every iota of the hidden meaning that I just knew what he was going to try and sneak by me. Yes, he did promise me to tell me of his medics of how he performed his tricks, but that didn't mean he had to tell me in a way I would understand. No, I was ready for him to try and trick me. I could have been more wrong. Promptly at noon he appeared, as I was waiting for him in the study, as he poofed in midair into the comfy chair in the opposite me. I never asked him how he always knew where we all were, but I'm pretty sure I wouldn't like the answer. So he said, rubbing his claws together expectantly, "What's for lunch?" I hoped we could have our talk first, but afterwards we have everything what you want to eat. My treat. Although, I was getting hungry after skipping breakfast, so I didn't want to get distracted until I learned whatever I could. Who knew Discord could ever decide to be so forthcoming again? Well, was attempting those sounds. I really do think you should eat something before we begin. It could be a while before you'll get to want to dine again once we finish. Our discussion will get pretty bit involved. He was stalling, and I didn't know why, but that was the impression I got. Well, I wasn't going to let hunger distract on me. Oh, I'm sure I'll be fine. Now then, were you going to explain to me just how you want to do it? Discord's lost its joyfulty as he suddenly looked serious, almost sad. Were his secrets personal to him? What was that? Twilight, as cosmetically power entity, I don't consider myself bound to any one time and space, and I could see more of a great tapestry more than even Celestia or Luna. I knew that day would come, and I knew that would have our little talk, but right here, right now, I'm giving you the chance to change your mind, just to forget about it all, pretty much, and go about lunch. I am saying this, Twilight, as a friend, because once you get to learn the information you are after, then you can never unlearn it. It will stay with you forever. He sits there looking at me, as if one to appears to be complete honesty and sincerity. Ha! I knew it. He's trying to get me to get off the hook, and so he can just go back to Fluttershy and tell her I've changed my mind, and if I bring it up again, he'll just say you had your chance. Nice try, Discord, but no luck. Well, I really appreciate your concern, but I could just pass up the opportunity to learn more about your most energetic friends, could I? No, he sadly says. I suppose you couldn't. He snaps his claws, and suddenly I have no idea. I saw energy flashing off, and I didn't know what some sort of orb was rapidly degenerating. The color isn't everything I can describe, and there was a loud roaring of sound, a horrible sound that sounded like every fiber of my being's friends is abnorant. It was a sound I think it was the worst of all. Not the smell, not even the sight of it, although that was the horrible enough. But that sound was nothing to be able to make a round about that. Wouldn't you agree? He asks me, casually glancing my way. I nod, it's all I can do. He couldn't hear me over the callipony, even if I screamed. How was I able to hear him then? I want you to close your eyes, Twilight. I'm about to take us back. But I want you to keep your eyes closed until I finish my explanation. All right? All right, now I have agreed to make everything, and that should sound stop. I had nod once, squeezed my eyes shut. A moment later, the sound stops. On reflex, I attempt to open my eyes, but couldn't find it. I didn't think you would be able to fight for your instincts, but that's all right. I have sealed them shut for you. Don't worry, I'll unstick them as soon as I finish my spell. I can feel them at the back of my chair. It's even still warm. I have no idea how long we were, whatever it was, but it couldn't have been very long. Now, the first part of my explanation was having to do where we were just were. I assume you understood we were seeing? Not exactly, I admitted, to my personal shame. Such a barbaric world I chose to live on. We are viewing the radioactive decay of carbon-14 in the under atmosphere of Equestria. It was supposed to be the simplest way to explain this to you. Obviously, I'll need to dumb his way down. And now being just mean, which is better than him than Mopey, I guess. Simply put, Twilight, I use the energy as the entropy decay rot. That chair you're sitting in, even as we speak, is rotting away to tiny bits of itself, breaking down into smaller and smaller components, releasing the thinnest, tiniest bit of energy each time it does so. Where does my power come from? All around you. Everywhere. Everything and every pony on the grass, the trees and the sun and the sky, everything rots. The power of decay? Says as though you have any way of detecting this energy? Of controlling it? Using it? I said, reeling at the implications of his words, even the infinite power of Source. No wonder he can do anything. Can this be taught? Can the other beings learn it? You mean you can learn it? Isn't that what you were really trying to say? His voice was over my shoulder, and he knows my reply was going to be, yes, I admit it, but not all just for myself. I added quickly, think of all the good you could do for Equestria. Use my power to help ponies, not just squander and make it chocolate rain, cotton candy clouds. I use it for the sake of the world. Oh, is that what you do, is it? You think I'm some squandering my powers? Foolish pony, I'm saving this planet every snap of my claw. He's getting angry, but I'm not sure why. All I've told him was the truth. Actually, I've had spared him more, worst of all. Personally, I see him as some kind of powerful clown, just snapping his immortal life away. He could be doing much more. He could turn Equestria into Utopia. He's even worse than a clown. He's a irresponsible god. Well, now you've gonna hurt my feelings, he said, sounding more angry than hurt. I know I didn't speak just now, but he's reading my mind. Well, of course I am. Everyone's really. I need something drawn out of that sound. But you'll have to deal with that soon enough. Now bear with me as I finish my explanation, and then we could finally get this unpleasant business over with. Alright then, so you think I'm wasting my power, do you? Well, I think it's about time I educate you a little more on the nature of the universe. The universe, my dear Miss Sparkle, wants you all to die. No, I'm not exaggerating, nor being part last bit of the melodramatic. There are two great forces of the existence that are constantly at odds with each other: order and chaos. You, with your science and your books, you think that order is a good thing, don't you? Ha! Do you know what other order strives for? What its end game is? Nothingness. A vast empty void of pure nothingness. Absolutely perfect. Order. And do you do what chaos wants, my dear deluded Twilight? Life, life. It's the infinite diversity. Chaos is creation. Creation with wild, joyless abandon. Chaos is thought, imagination, inventiveness. You, my dear Twilight, are more than a creature of chaos than you ever were as of order. As if all your friends, especially Pinkie Pie. But everything chaos creates, order is there to break it down. Order pulls and tugs at everything that isn't pure void, corrupting it and leeching energy from it, causing it to wither and die, causing each little molecule to separate back into its orderly little components, smaller and smaller until nothing remains. Ah, but that's where I come in. I steal the energy released from the rotting creation. I bring the new things into the being, but most importantly, keep that energy from being the loss into the void. Lost to the void? Why? Why is that so important? I asked, trying to keep up with what he was telling me. Because he says, sounding like he was about to say something really clever that I should have already figured out. Matter and energy are the same thing. One becomes the other, back and forth, yin and yang over and over. Matter cannot really be destroyed. It can be converted into energy, but even energy is unwelcome to order. Perfect order is sameness, neither one, neither or the other. These were the things that were out there, Twilight. Things in the depths of space. Black holes that are sucked into both matter and energy, cosmetic vacuum cleaners with gravities unmeasurably strong, be able to suck the light back in itself. Every bit of energy I use keeps this on this world and this universe. You have no idea what I do it. I'm not even taking time off to spend with you or your friends. I've created the worlds, suns, stars, comets, everything and anything I imagine. My time spent with you ponies, call those my weekends off and vacations. Trust me, my dear, my work week is spent in fighting to keep this universe from falling apart into the backseat of order, and without as much as a single but thank you. But if all this is true, then why didn't you say anything about it? Why don't you pretend this all to be insane mad pony randomly trolling of all of Equestria? Well, you see, Twilight, that's the same thing. I'm not pretending. Has the same room gotten colder? Why am I suddenly shaking? Oh, those are just merely your new perceptions, my dear, Discord says right next to my ear. Your body's reacting to the meaning aurora, and I'm currently projecting. No worries, though, it's just a test, just to make sure everything is functioning properly. These kinds of things are very tricky, and it's not very easy to fine tune to other beings' perceptions. What do you mean? What have you done? I say, still shaking, and beginning to feel the slightest twinge of panic. What have I done? Why, I've been giving you what you wanted. You wanted to be able to prescribe the energy I was talking about. You hoped that I would give you the means of control it like I do. And so have I. Once you have opened your eyes, you'll understand everything as for controlling it. Well as both taking time and effort. But since you are immortal like Celestia and Luna, I am pretty sure you'll get the hang of it eventually. And with that, my work here is done. Don't worry about lunch. I'll get a rain check until the next time you feel hungry. And don't worry about seeing me out. Get it? Ha, seeing all well. Never mind. Enjoy your newfound knowledge, Twilight, and hope for the sake it was worth it. I then hear a snap. Suddenly my body starts shaking. He must have left, and I could feel my eyelids become unstuck. I can then open them once again as I do so. That was a mistake. My screams echoes corridors of the castle. It's quickly followed by another, then another. I can't help myself. It's everywhere. Everywhere! Twilight, what is it? What's wrong? It's Spike. He's come to see me what has happened. Unfortunately, he cannot see it, and the sight of him makes me nearly vomit. Oh my god, he's so disgusting. Everywhere is all around me. I close my eyes. That helps, dear goodness. I may never open them again, but I hear it now as well. That sound. That horrible, abhorrent sound. The same sound that Discord took me away, that dry, raspy sound. I know how it is. I can see it. I can hear it. Rot. Everything all around me. The furniture, the candles, the books, even Spike. Oh, goodness. I'll never be able to get that image out of my mind. I can see the rot in them, rotting right before my eyes. Spike's a little ball of energy of life, getting smaller and smaller, and while his body being constantly consumed, eaten away by all those things, he stands out there obvious, horrible, hideous. Oh goodness, I understand now, Discord. He isn't acting like a fool. He isn't pretending to be crazy at all. And a mortal like himself, having to see this every single day, hearing his whisper every single minute, of course he's insane. Any being would be, and then he would give me a chance to change my mind. He cared about me, and all about us. We were so wrong about him. Twilight, Twilight, tell me what to do, so I could send a letter to the princess to go get Starlight Glimmer. Twilight, you have to answer me. Oh, Spike, even the sounds from your voice rot away. It makes so no sense. The sounds can't rot, but that's the way prescriptions are telling me. If that is real, or did Discord make a mistake? He said tuning my prescriptions would be tricky. I'm okay, Spike. Discord just showed me something unexpected, that's all. I just need a little time to come to terms with it. Send a letter to Celestia, tell her I need her as fast as she can get here, and call Starlight Glimmer. Have her come inside, but do not let any pony else in. Not even like I've talked to Starlight and Celestia first. Of course, Twilight. I'll take care of it as of now. Is there anything else I could do until they get there? Something to eat or drink? Yes, both, Spike. I haven't eaten since last night. So can you also bring me any thick red scarf? And you need to make a blindfold. My eyes are a bit sensitive to light at the moment. Okay, sure, I'll be right back. I am practically running down the corridor. He's worried. I should be. Tartarus, I should be in full panic mode, but I feel almost calm. I feel like I've just gone far past the fear that I'm out on the other side. I take a deep breath and let it out. Then I opened my eyes once more. I clenched my teeth together to try to keep from screaming again. I thought I was ready for it this time, but it wasn't. It's just so disgusting. I could see it. Everywhere the books are rotting on the shelves on the chair I'm sitting on, it's rotting under my hooves. Little bits of it sticking to my body. Oddly enough, my body is the only thing that isn't rotting. I'm not being eaten alive. That must be more immorality. The magic. Wait, that's it! Magic preservation spells. I can cast them all around this room and over the castle. Twilight, Spike told me you needed to see me, Starlight says, trotting quickly towards the room. I turned when she spoke, and I turned and looked right at her. Hey! I wailed, clamping my eyes shut. Twilight, what's wrong? She says, coming over and holding me by the shoulders. She's touching me. Goodness, she's touching me! I shove her away violently, wiping my hooves on the arms of the chair. But please, Starlight, don't get near me. We need to talk, but please don't touch me. I don't understand, but it's all right. Please tell me what's going on. Spend the next few minutes explaining what has happened. Like she was keenly interested in Discord's abilities, that's it. Until I began to explain, I was able to see and hear now. See, and I'm really so disgusting to look at, she asked, in her hurt voice. No, Starlight, it isn't that you're abnormal, it's just what I see is happening to you. The skin's on your face peeling away, your hair, the spiders, the creatures crawling all over you, eating every little bit of dead flesh, and turn to undying and rotting away all over your body, every single sec. That's enough! Starlight says sharply. I understand, I get it. Let's just not talk about it, okay? Fine by me, I reply. I don't even want to think about it. Agreed, so what are we going to do about it? As far as my condition, I don't think there's anything we can do about it. Or at least what Discord said. He told me that if I chose this, there's no way I could ever undo it. He then gave me a chance to change my mind. You can't possibly be considering letting him go off the hook. He didn't tell you that you'd be in for before he did this. There's no way you could have ever agreed to this without knowing this would happen. Well, I replied slowly, considering my words. That's not exactly true. You can't be serious. To get the chance to do what Discord does, to be someday as powerful as he is, think of what I could accomplish. Listen, what are you saying? To think of what? You'll ever get used to this? Get used to seeing everything rot away every minute of the day? To not be able to look at any pony without seeing them? Being eaten away by your eyes? You're saying that you'll get used to seeing that? No. Yes, I don't know. Discord does it. He's acclimated, I offered lamely. Discord's insane. He's totally, completely insane. And now we know why. Is that what you want your future to be? No, of course not. But it doesn't have to be this way. If I can control this, just for a little while, if I can master Discord's power, I can change this world for the better. Then if there's any way to turn me back to normal, we will. Starlight was hesitant. She wasn't convinced that I could hold it in together. Look, all we need is a haven, a place where I can keep my sanity. I had already come up with an idea before you came in. Listen, we can use the preservation spells all over the castle. We can keep it all from rotting that way. As long as I'm in the castle, it won't get me. You're making a lot of assumptions there, Twilight. What about your friends? What about even if you have to leave the castle? You can't expect to stay here forever. I was about to offer another argument, but our conversation was interrupted. Twilight, I'm back. I sent the letter to Celestia. She'll be here within an hour. In the meantime, I threw together a late lunch for you. Salad with mixed greens, a nice rice pilaf, and the last of that broccoli casserole you liked so much. I made some fresh green tea. If there's anything else I can get you, just say the word. Thanks, Spite. Actually, if you could do me one more favor, take Starlight down to the library and show her my section of preservation spells. And if you could, give her a hoof on carrying it back and see what she thinks will be the best. We may need more than one type, and I have that in mind. Sure thing, Twilight. I can hear him hesitating at the door. Well, can you tell me everything you think, right? I get that something's going on. Let's scream the way you won't turn toward me. I understand it's nothing you already want to tell me. Spike has already been so loyal to me, and now I can't even look him in the eye. Spike, it isn't like that. I just need a bit of time to come into terms with things. I gave Starlight the gist of it, and she could fill you in and help me find my books. Really, I'm trying to keep things out of the loop, but it's just that things kind of happen suddenly, and I'm still trying to warp it in my head around, okay? Okay, yeah, sure, if you say so. The scarf is all you wanted is on the right side of the tray. Call me if you need anything else. Thank you, Spike. You're always so good to me. That's why you're my number one assistant, I said, trying to force some cheer into my voice. I suppose it would work, because they leave without further complaint. And I'm glad they did. I was about to do something nightmarish. I was going to have to eat. I realized at the moment I saw Spike why Discord wanted me to eat something earlier, but of course I turned him down, as now I was going to have to pay the price. My stomach was growling loud enough to be heard, and my frantic behavior since Discord altered my perceptions and was only used up a bit of my energy. In short, I was starving. I needed to rest, but I knew instinctively, just sat there, and there was no way that I was able to choke down on food Spike had prepared if I had to see it first. If a living, breathtaking Spike looked horrid, and I didn't even want to imagine the day-old broccoli casserole looked like, I was going to have to do this blindfolded. It took me a second to find the scarf that Spike had brought me. I quickly fashioned a makeshift blindfold out of it and tied it around my head. Then I finally found my fork. And one of those three bowls, the one I found didn't seem very heavy, so I guessed it was a salad. I stuck the fork into the bowl and lifted the contents towards my mouth. The stench was overwhelming. I quickly held the fork as far away from me as I could. Apparently, Discord didn't use his powers of my sight. My Olaf senses were obviously heightened as well. This could be a problem. I held my hoof sideways across my muzzle, effectively covering both nostrils. I raised the fork backwards into my mouth. I could still faintly smell the rot. I quickly shoved my first bite into my mouth. More than half I expected my taste buds to alter as well, but fortunately they were still the same. I tasted a salad. Very good salad. My mouth completely contracted of my nose that had been telling me. Oh, thank goodness, I mumbled around the mouthful of greens. At least I would be able to eat, even though I couldn't stand the smell of it or doubtness at the sight. I spent the next 10 minutes or so greedily devouring anything on the tray, guzzling all the tea, and after the last bite I ate, I sat back in my chair with a contented sigh. Now that I was fed, my hunger pains and my headache had receded, and I was feeling a great deal more optimistic. I could make this work. Sure, it wasn't going to be easy. I would have to make a deal of alterations to my daily routine, but I could make a matter of this. And once conditioned myself, once I got used to my new senses, I could learn to master and even control this rot energy. If any pony in Equestria could do it, it was me. I would master it. I would become as powerful as Discord. I would change the world for the better. Ugh, good pony, nobody else burped like that. That must have been really starving too. Oh, Celestia. Oh, goodness. No, 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 no. Oh, goodness. That stench from that burp and the rot. Oh, goodness, that rot was inside me. And of course it made me puke. And of course the smell of it made me puke and... Oh, goodness. I had to get out of this room. The room was beyond repellent. No use. I'll have to take the blindfold off. I didn't look down. I just don't look down. Look straight ahead, no further, until you get out of the room, okay? Ready to go now. I removed the blindfold and opened my eyes. The rot was all around me. Everywhere I carefully avoided looking at the tray or anything below. I carefully pushed it away from me, not even looking to where my hooves had been touching it, and resisting the urge to wipe them on my chest. I slowly lowered a hoof down to the floor, silently thanking Celestia that didn't go squish. Then I slowly lowered the other, and then made my way carefully to around the edge of the room, until I got to the door and I ignited my horn, and used the magic to open the door in the outer hallway. If only I'd been calm enough to simply teleport outside. Still as things were, I barely concentrated on to work on the doorknob without touching it. I made my way out of to the hall, and the closed doors behind me. Slowly I walked snake into the floor, my back pressed up against the door. I covered my eyes with my scarf once more, and silently began to cry. I have no idea how long I stayed that way before Celestia found me.